What's up, y'all? In today's video, we're going to be doing something a little bit different than I've ever done before. We're going to be diving into my crazy story of how I even got to where I am today, where I've driven over $1.7 billion in Meta ads attributable revenue, how I've spent over $330 million on Meta ads. We're just gonna dive deep into how I fell into this industry of Facebook ad buying. And so if you're new to this channel, my name is Mason Littlejohn. I have a Meta ads agency called We Are The Select. I have my own coaching program called Meta Ads at Scale, where I coach over 80 plus e-com brands on how to scale their brand to 7, 8, and 9 figures. And like I mentioned, this video, we're going to be doing something vastly different than I would typically do. And we're gonna dive into the origins of how I even started getting into Facebook ad buying. So let's dive in now. So let's move back to the beginning of when I graduated college. So in 2016, graduated college, I had studied finance and I had these big dreams, Wolf of Wall Street, I think I had just came out a few years prior, and I wanted to be this big old badass, in finance, right? But the problem is that I did not do the work. I didn't do the internships, I didn't get the grades, all that sort of stuff. But I still thought, I could work in finance. Well, that didn't end up happening. I applied to all these jobs at hedge funds, at wealth management firms, and I couldn't even barely get an interview. I got a few interviews, that was basically it. But no one wanted to hire me, and so I was kind of left wondering, what is my path? What is my purpose? What is the next steps for me? And so one day I got an email about a job to be a Facebook media buyer. And I had no idea what that even meant. But in the email it said, this is for people who are great with numbers, but people who are also very creative. And I was like, oh, that's me for sure. And so I ended up applying for this job. I made it into the interview process, made it to final round where they ended up giving me like an Excel math test, figuring out if I was good with numbers, and also gave me exercises on creativity. So I ended up landing this job at this Facebook ad agency in 2016. And little did I know that this one job was going to change my life forever. And so I ended up starting at this job in fall of 2016. And during the first 2 weeks I was there, I finished the Facebook ads blueprint education program, which was their free courses that Meta actually has that anybody can take. And so I dove into that head first, completed that within the first 2 weeks of being there. And then within the first month of actually working at this advertising agency, I became the best media buyer there. And how I knew that I was the best was that all the people that worked there started to not like me because I was getting the attention from the owners and they were putting me on all the best accounts. And so some of the accounts that I worked on in these early days as a Facebook ads buyer were Fashion Nova, Pretty Little Thing, General Assembly, which is a big info product company teaching people how to code. And I was even working on the lead generation side with companies like Loan Depot, which is a big mortgage lead company. And during this time, I just fell in love with Facebook advertising. And it wasn't hard to fall in love with because I was very good at it from day one. And I just loved the fact that you could have an idea for an ad and turn that into reality and then put money behind that and then instantly get feedback on if it was a winner, if it was a loser. And so I ended up working at this company for about a year and a half. And I had a great time there and just learned a ton, but I really wasn't the agency owners were making a ton of money, but I just knew I kind of wanted to work for a singular brand, but I still had that finance dream. I wanted to work for a company that had the potential to IPO. I wanted to ring the bell on the New York Stock Exchange. Like I really had this vivid picture of myself doing this. And so I sought out an opportunity to work for a startup, a brand that was venture backed, that had the potential to IPO. I didn't know what that was, but that was really what was on the forefront of my mind. And so I ended up finding, I believe it was on Indeed.com, there was a job posting for a paid media manager for this company called Ruggable. At the time, this was a fledgling company that were disrupting the rug industry, right? Nothing crazy, nothing exciting really, but for some reason it piqued my interest. They had a patent on the technology for machine washable rugs. And so I ended up applying for this job, and little did I know that this was the next opportunity that would really change the trajectory of my career and have a lasting long-term impact. And so I interviewed at Ruggable and they had high hopes, high dreams for the company. They thought it could be a multi-$100 million company. At the time, they had only done $1 million in revenue. So this was, in 2017, they had only done $1 million total revenue on Shopify. And when I ended up joining the company in April of 2018, they had huge high hopes of, like I mentioned, becoming a 9-figure brand. But this is all, this is a pipe dream in a lot of ways. And so when I was interviewing there, the founder, asked me like, are you the guy to take us to the $100 million mark? Is that something you think you can do? And I don't know why I was so confident, but I was like, yes, I am your guy. And so I was one of the founding employees there, one of the first 5 employees, the second marketing hire. And when I joined there, I took over everything. They didn't have anything set up yet. They were running a little bit of Facebook ads, but I took over their Facebook ads, their Google ads. They didn't even have email marketing going. So I set up all their email marketing. And from there, we just started scaling. And so what ended up happening in that first year, we scaled in 2018 from 1 million to 16 million that year. 2019, we ended up at 100 million. 2020, we did 250 million. And then we had that huge COVID boom, and we ended up doing 500 million in 2021, 500 million in 2022, and 500 million again in 2023. And so we had now grown into this multi-billion-dollar company. We had a partial exit where Summit investors invested in the company, and we had gone global as well. I launched the company into the UK, launched them into Europe, launched them into Australia, and now we're this global, multinational, multi-billion-dollar company. And so during this time at Ruggable, I learned literally everything you could possibly want to learn as an e-commerce operator, e-commerce Facebook ad buyer. And so most of you know me right now. I'm the Facebook ads, I'm the meta ads guy, but while I was at Ruggable, I did everything, like I mentioned. So I built their whole meta ads infrastructure there, also Google, Pinterest ads, TikTok ads, even YouTube, OTT, or connected TV ads. I did anything and everything there and just soaked up as much knowledge as I could. But during this time, towards the end of my tenure at Ruggable, the CEO that was there when I first started ended up leaving. The CMO that was there, who actually was ones who hired me, ended up leaving. And so I realized this company wasn't headed in the direction really that I thought it was anymore. I thought the IPO was supposed to be on the table, but the economy started to, go sideways after the Ukraine war started and after COVID ended, right? And so this dream I had of, IPO, that seemed so close and so possible, especially after the Allbirds IPO and the Dollar Shave Club getting acquired, right? All these big direct-to-consumer e-commerce companies that had these major exits, these seemed to just be off the table, where revenue didn't matter as much as EBITDA and profit anymore. And so I just had a huge reality check on that. Hey, this dream of ringing the bell in New York Stock Exchange, this might actually not happen. And so what are you going to do instead? Like, what is the next step in your journey, right? And so that was in 2022 when all this kind of came to me. And so that's when I really started taking social media seriously, specifically Twitter. And so, I had been on muddied Twitter since 2020, kind of being one of those anon people that was just following people, the Kill Crew guys, following the Client Ascension guys, following, the Launch Socials guys. And that's when I really took a serious step about, hey, I want to become an entrepreneur. I want to do, why don't I start my own Facebook ads agency, right? And so what I did was I invested for the first time into a coaching program, much like what I sell now, what I offer on the meta ad side for meta ads at scale. I joined this coaching program called Launch Socials and started to learn how to build a personal brand. And so that summer of 2022 was when I really started taking Twitter seriously and started sharing my knowledge online about meta ads. And so it did not happen overnight at all, but over the course of those first, from summer 2022 to, the end of 2022 is when I had started posting content every single day about meta ads. End of November of that year, I got my first client, who was Larissa Loden Jewelry, and she found me directly off of Twitter. And so this is how I knew, wow, this can be a game-changing thing. This platform that has changed so many other entrepreneurs' lives who have got all their clients off there, built their brands on there. I was like, this can also happen for me. And so that was the beginning of my ad agency. And so from then, my focus was still working at Ruggable, but my secondary focus was, let's build this thing on the side to be bigger than your main 9-to-5 income. And then so eventually you can step off of the 9-to-5 into, a role as an entrepreneur. And so that's what I did. And so I kept building, posting on Twitter, sharing as much value, everything I was learning at Ruggable, everything I had learned about Ruggable, about advertising, about email marketing, SMS marketing, about website conversion rate optimization, about creative, about copywriting. I was just sharing anything and everything and just giving out as much free value as possible. And so I continued to stack up more clients. I think by early 2023, I had about 3 3 different agency clients. But during this time as well, my DMs on Twitter started just getting hit up all the time. Everyone was hitting me up asking, hey Mason, can you help me with my ads? Hey, I have this new brand, I think you could really help me out. And I only was running this agency, which was higher ticket, and I was like, you know what, sorry guys, you can ask me questions, but that's about it. And then gotta give God the credit here, but he would put it on my heart to like, hey, you should start this coaching program and start really impacting as many people's lives as possible with your knowledge of meta ads. And so at first I kind of shrugged it off. It was like, I don't know, I can't do that. I've never done that before, right? I've never started a coaching program. It took me a little bit of time, not gonna lie, some convincing, but by the summer of 2023, I launched my first version of Meta Ads at Scale, which was a beta program where I took on 4 brands for free, because I was like, who am I to charge people money for a coaching program? Right? I've never done this before. And so I was like, I need to get a proof of concept. And so, I took on a few brands that you guys probably know. Dabbling Duck Co. was one of them. Hales was another one. And then Becca Luna Education. Those were like the main 3, and they're all successful brands, very successful brands now. And so those were the first 3 that helped me, start this and turn this idea of Meta Ads at Scale into a reality. And so for those first 6 months with them, all I focused on was providing them as much value as possible and helping them scale their brands. And so during that time period, Becca Luna Education, they had never run ads before. They're an info product business. We got them during Black Friday. They did their first like $600,000 week ever. Dabbling Duck hit their first $50,000 month, and Tails went from $20,000 in when they joined the program in June of 2023 and did $1.1 million in revenue in December 2023. So proof of concept was there. I was not just an agency guy that could help bigger brands. I also had the ability to help any brand, no matter the size, scale with meta ads. And so this was the beginning of Meta Ads at Scale. And so from then I started, actively marketing Meta Ads at Scale and turning it into a legit coaching program where I would, teach brand owners how to scale profitably with meta ads. And so that was through the end of 2023 there. Actually, in 2023, I tried to quit my job at Ruggable. I was planning on quitting, but my boss at the time was like, no, just end out the year, collect the rest of, your equity, your bonus, all that sort of stuff. And so that ended up dragging me into, 2024, and where my boss ended up leaving before me. I tried to leave, I tried to quit, and then he ended up leaving before me. And so April 2024 of last year, really not that long ago, actually a little bit less than a year ago, was when I officially left Ruggable. So when I left Ruggable, I had a full agency going, a full coaching program going, and I was kind of driving myself crazy by working crazy hours. I don't even know how long I was working every week, 10 to 15 hours a day, just making sure that I was able to step off into these successful businesses that were self-sustaining. And so, but it was scary. Like most of the people on X, on the entrepreneurs you hear, like just burn the boats, right? Quit your job and just go all in, right? Well, I was not the case. I was not gonna lie, it was a little scary for me to do that. So I built these things on the side, and in April 2024, I officially left Ruggable and went all in on We Are The Select, my agency, and all in on Meta Ads at Scale, my coaching program. And so fast forward to today, my coaching program, I think we're nearing 100 plus members that have been inside the program. I have a thriving agency where I have about 9 clients on the We Are The Select side. And now here I am even now on YouTube. I never thought I'd be here on YouTube telling you guys a story like this of how I even got here today. And so, during my time, all my learnings at Ruggable, I've taken them with me, and now I share them for everybody online now. And so I can make as much impact as possible. The reason why I wanted to share this story with all of you is that, this wasn't the conventional path. I didn't even expect to be in this position. I came from this world of finance. I truly love trading stocks, I love researching stocks, I love the markets, all that sort of stuff. And now I'm in this completely other world now where I live and breathe advertising. I'm addicted to spending money on meta ads and turning, $1 into $3, every single day, and so I'm 1,000% dedicated to all my agency client success, all my Meta Ads at Scale client success. And I even have my own brand now where I'm working on, which I won't share right now exactly what that is, but I'm also in the trenches with my own e-commerce brand. I just live and breathe e-commerce, and it's really, I think, my God-given gift, as weird as it sounds, is Meta Ads. And so I'm here to tell you guys today that if you guys are looking to level up your meta ads, if you guys are looking to take it to the next level, whether on the agency side or just want a coach to help you, that is my God-given gift. You know, like I said, I took this unconventional path here. I did not ever expect to end up here, but like I said, I'm sharing this with you just to authentically tell you that, you know, this is my purpose in life right now, is to help as many brands as possible scale to 7, 8 figures and beyond a year, quit their 9-to-5s, go all in on their dreams. Truly, like, my job is to help you guys achieve your dreams as an entrepreneur, as an e-com brand owner. And so no matter what that is, you know, whether you need help on the agency side, you want coaching, or if you even want to DM me on X, on Twitter, whatever it may be, I am here to help you guys become self-sustaining brand owners, right? And so I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. You know, I've never told my story before, and there is a little bit more, you know, deeper details to each of, you know, the years that I went over here. And maybe I'll go into those a little bit deeper another time. But for now, I'll leave you guys at that for today. And so if you guys are interested in joining my coaching program, Meta Ads at Scale, I'll just go a little bit deeper into what that actually entails. So it is a 6-month program. It's a one-on-one coaching program where you're gonna get 5 one-on-one calls with me. You're also gonna get unlimited calls with your dedicated client success manager, Steve. So again, our mission of this program is to make every single client in the program a case study, and we also have a guarantee. If we don't at least double your revenue while you're in the program, we will work with you for free until we get you there. And say you're even pre-revenue and you're looking to join the program. And we don't typically accept brands that don't have existing revenue yet. However, if you are the right fit and we think you have a ton of potential, we will still, you know, sometimes accept brands like you into the program. And for those brands, we have a happiness guarantee. If you don't think we've gone above and beyond to help you kind of achieve your goals as a brand, we will continue to work with you for free until we get you there. And not to mention, I forgot to say, we also have weekly group coaching calls as well, where we go over a broad e-com lesson and a in-depth meta ads manager lesson with Q&As every week. And you also get your own private Slack channel with myself and my client success manager, Steve, along with access to the Slack community as well, with the 80+ winning brands in there. So this is, in my opinion, the #1 meta ads coaching program in the world, and it will continue to be. Our goal for the program by the end of 2027 is to get 100 brands doing $10 million or more in revenue per year. So that would be $1 billion in annual revenue from brands that are in the program. We currently have about 4 or 5 brands already doing over $10 million a year run rate. And so we have 95 more brands to go here. So like I said, apply to Meta Ads at Scale. Hit the link here in the bio or in the first comment. Book a call with myself or my team, and we'd love to talk to you. See you guys soon.